It's tough to feel abandoned by God, but most special needs parents have felt that way at one time or another. And sometimes in the confusion of events and the things that are going wrong, it's easy to ask ourselves, where is God in all of this? Sometimes it's easy to go through different seasons of special needs parenting where it's easy to feel like God has no clue what's going on in your life. Something that you may not know is that the various names of God in Scripture tell us something about the various character traits of God. And so when you know a specific name of God, you also know a very specific character trait of God, and more than likely a character trait that you're going to be able to depend on when those tough seasons of special needs parenting happen. So let me share with you one of the specific names of God found in Genesis 16 in the Bible that reveals one of his specific character traits that can help you in those special needs seasons of parenting where things are just going tough and you wonder, where is God? Because he doesn't feel like he's around. And that name is Jehovah El-Roi. Chapter 16 is primarily the story of Abram and Sarai, where God had promised Abram that he would be the father of a multitude of people. Well, they had a hard time conceiving, and so Sarai asked her maidservant Hagar to sleep with her husband Abram so that they might be able to bear a child. And Hagar did, and she conceived and ended up being pregnant. Now, you think Sarai would have been happy over all of that, but she wasn't. She was very jealous and very angry and treated Hagar very roughly. Eventually, things got so bad that Hagar fled on foot into the desert. There's a good chance that on your special needs parenting journey, you know what it feels like to have a desert experience where you're tired, you're exhausted, you just keep putting one foot in front of another, going on and on, but you feel like you're just not getting any place and you're just beat. Things haven't turned out the way that you thought they were going to turn out. Well, that's exactly where Hagar was at that point in her life. She just felt totally abandoned, and she had no idea where God was in all of this. But we read in Genesis chapter 16, verse 7, that God found her in the wilderness by a spring called Shur. Now in Hebrew, that word Shur, that spring named Shur, meant wall. So in essence, God had found Hagar in a place where she just had her back against a wall. And I'll bet you know what that feels like. As we parent kids with special needs, sometimes things can be so demanding. Sometimes the resources that we were counting on never seem to manifest themselves. Sometimes the people that we were relying on just never seem to show up or act like they even care about us. And we even feel that way at some points on our journey towards God. Well, God found Hagar in her wilderness experience when she felt like her back was against the wall. And God spoke to Hagar and he let her know that he knew exactly where she was and what she was going through at that point in time. And Hagar said, "You are the God who sees me." This is the only instant in the Bible where a parent gave God a name. And she called him in Hebrew Jehovah El-Roi, which means the God who sees me, because she knew that even in that wilderness place, even with her back against the wall, God saw her and he cared about her. And that specific name reveals to us a specific character trait of God, that even in your wilderness experience, your desert experience, even in those moments where you feel like your back is up against the wall and that you're abandoned and that no one is there for you, God is there. Even when you feel like he's not, the Bible tells us that Jehovah El-Roi is there. He's a God who cares. He's the God who sees you, even when you're in those tough seasons of special needs parenting. I have two boys who are on the severe end of the autism spectrum. They're 18 years old. And as a parent, I still hit those wilderness experiences, those desert experiences, those times where I feel like my back is up against the wall and I'm trying to do this alone. And when I do, I've made it a habit to do this, which is what I would like to challenge you to do or encourage you to do. When you get in those seasons of life, look up this verse, Genesis 16, verse 13. That's the verse where we see that the Lord is talking to Hagar. He knows exactly where she is. It's the verse where Hagar names God, the God who sees me, because she knew in that moment that even though she felt differently, that God saw her, He knew exactly where she was in life, and that He cared about her. When you're in that season, I would encourage you to read and to pray that verse at least one time each day for each day of that season of life that you're in, and see if it doesn't make a difference. The specific names of God reveal the specific character traits of God, character traits that you can depend on. Hey, listen, I would love to hear what you have to say. Make sure that you leave a comment below this video, and while you're at it, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can receive updates when other videos come out. Thank you for everything that you do as a parent of a child with special needs.